About 7 years ago, he came up to me at a lawn social function for the Civic Center that was indoors, of odd thing, lawn social, and asked if I wanted to paint a mural. And here we are 6 years later, still going up on the walls, painting murals.
My name is Josh Benson. I'm the Executive Director of the Marion Cultural and Civic Center, but I'm also a muralist in Southern Illinois, having just completed Lincoln the Great Emancipator behind us, along with my friend, Shawn Vincelette.
My name's Shawn Vincelette, and I'm an artist, and so I can keep it pretty simple.
So we've titled this Lincoln the Great Emancipator. The Great Emancipator is the really important part of this because it really speaks to the heaviness that weighs upon his face. This was a portrait that was taken directly after the war, and it really shows the wear of the war, the emotion of it, what it did to him as a president, him being the true father of freedom as we know it today, and freedom within the United States. And one thing that we learned today is in a lot of his speeches, in a lot of Lincoln's speeches, he referenced and structured his speeches around the Declaration of Independence to really speak to the true freedoms that we declared that we were not embodying in that time. And I think that's incredibly important now, looking at where we're at as a society. We've gotten a couple of comments from the community that you've heard about.
Well, as you're saying that, what I have heard, I'll sum it into one. A lot of comments about how people have felt that his gaze upon them has kind of made them stop. Some people have called it judgment. Some people have, called it a sense of awe. Whatever it is, if it causes people to take a pause and think of something or nothing, it's kind of doing its job. So, and that's not something that I thought of or that we intentionally set out to do. That's just what I've heard as we've, been painting.
And we heard somebody say it was once we put the furrow of the brow in, that they really felt that. And it also speaks to people really feeling and having feelings and an emotional response to the work itself. And that is the goal of any great art, is to really elicit that emotion and that response. And knowing that that's happening in a multitude of different levels really makes us feel like there is some level of success with this piece.
It's Juneteenth just happened. Is there any correlation between choosing this month for this man who obviously...
It honestly was a happy coincidence. This is the window that worked out. And as soon as we realized that this is what we were painting during Juneteenth, that Juneteenth was like right in the heart of our painting process for it, that we wanted to acknowledge that as well.
We've been looking at doing an Abraham Lincoln mural for some time, so we've told this story a couple times. There's so many layers to this that was intentional and unintentional that, in my opinion, has now made the piece what it is, and I think probably will continue to make it, I think, because that connections are going to be made regardless. Everybody's going to bring their own point of view. So
yeah, like Shawn said, it's been 5 years. We had multiple placements, and we had different designs based on each placement. There was a graffiti style design. It was all in hyper colors with Lincoln in like these neon green sunglasses. That was with the design at one point. And then whenever we landed on this wall, in this placement in the community, the tone of it really needed to change away from graffiti into a more somber yet just intentional placement and intentional design for the placement.
Does that have anything to do with why you chose monochromatic?
It does.
Yes, and the building tone, with it being just renovated, it had that crisp whiteness. So, and then as a lucky coincidence, we've kind of said it was intentional. The color palette of Abe also matches the colors that are in the structure that they've added, which prior to adding Abe, the structure really jumped out at you, and a lot of people thought it was kind of offensive looking. So the fact that it kind of helps blend it in makes it more intentional.
And additionally, looking at the placement, we were also looking at the Anthony Bourdain mural, which is directly across the street from it. The Anthony Bourdain mural is literally almost a surreal, abstract hypercolor palette to create that mural, and to be in opposition and complement that hypercolor palette, we went with the grayscale on Lincoln.
Because when you're in between the two, you obviously turn this way, complement each other that way.
Did you guys paint the one that was on that wall together?
We did.
Yes.
Yeah, Statue of Freedom went up in 2021, spring of 2021. It had a nice life of 4.5 years. And then it was summarily executed through tuck pointing, restoring that building. The tuck pointing went directly through the mural, and they also erected a staircase unit that was going to block half the mural. So in a collaborative decision with the building owners, we decided to go ahead and have the mural painted over to give us a complete blank canvas on that wall. One thing with this mural specifically was, with it being a grayscale image, we were not able to really fully project our image up and mark out our image fully. So we created a projection that was in high contrast that gave us guide points. And those guide points gave us enough reference to where we could create the features and know where the features needed to be. And then we were able to then paint in and create all of the shadowing and shading to really accentuate his face, his features, hit the moles that are part of his face, all of the different things that really make him who he is, the furrowed brow, the intensity of the eye, all of that we were able to create kind of on the wall in a freehand nature through the guides that we had put up there, through marking out with just a little blue acrylic pen.
Why blue?
I asked that same question.
Initially, we didn't want to put black up there because a lot of the paint was going to be black, and we wanted to be able to see it somewhat from the ground, so we didn't want something lighter, and so blue was kind of that middle ground, and so that's why we went with blue. I
think Josh just liked the blue marker.
I do like the blue markers, but
we have in the past, we've used Sharpies, we've used paintbrushes.
Yeah, we painted direct outline onto the wall before.
Yeah.
We've also used sidewalk chalk to mark things out.
Yeah.
If you've got a clear forecast for the Spanian mural, it works just fine. If you don't have a clear forecast, we do not recommend it.
Actually, I just wouldn't even recommend it ever. There's better ways to do it.
Yeah.
Everything's a learning curve.
Sharpie works just fine.
Sharpie.
As long as you don't have light tones, because it bleeds through white some of the time. And if it's Sharpie will bleed through really lighter tones. And so you'll have to put sometimes 3 or 4 coats to cover a Sharpie, which is kind of why we wanted to avoid it. With an acrylic marker, it's typically a one coat cover. And so it goes away relatively easy with an acrylic marker versus a Sharpie.
Okay, what's next?
Next mural? Is that what you're asking?
What's next?
Well, Shawn drives back to Atlanta.
Yeah. And I get off of my sea legs. We do this thing where we're on the lift, where we end up trying to stabilize ourselves. So it takes a few days for me to stop doing this. On the plus side, my calves have never looked so good. That's where it's all
You're
at.
standing still, but it's still a workout.
Yeah. Yes, and that's the surprising part. Is I've said all along, when we started this, nobody's prepared for the scale of this fella, including myself at that time, just because, you're not prepared until you get up on that wall of how those shapes create this.
One thing we keep referencing, there's a highlight on his lower lip, and it just looks like a little highlight, but that little highlight is over 6 feet long. And that's low. I mean, his eye and all of the the shading and the wrinkles and the detail around his eye is about 20 feet. And so it's a massive scale. In turn, we have to spend a lot of time going, it takes 5 minutes to get up to that eye and 5 minutes to get back down. And then we walk a block and a half away to turn around and look at it on the scale and be able to see how it actually translates down here from the eye of somebody driving by or walking by. And so we've spent a lot of time walking back and forth, sitting elsewhere and looking back at the mural to kind of fine tune some of those aspects to make sure that we had those features right. For both Shawn and I, when we've sat back and talked about how proud we are of how this one's come out, how well
It's been received.
it's been received from a mile away down just past the hub, you can make out the face. And it is something that impacts you from a distance. And we feel like this is something that's going to set a tone for people coming into downtown Marion. It's not an old, stale mural. It's with how close it is on his face and the intensity of his eye. It's a more modern, direct take that gives you a sense of where Marion's at and where we're at as a community. And this isn't going to be the last mural that we put up. This won't be the last one that I put up. I've got another one that will be going up here in Marion in the next month. And so there's a lot of art happening all over Southern Illinois, and we're just really happy to be, a part of that and at the center of that movement right now.
I'm happy to come back to my hometown and create art. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a message on the Civic Center or Lincoln 72 feet tall. The thrill of being able to do that in my hometown is just surreal. It's what life's about for me. And I'll leave it at that, otherwise I might get a little sad there.